Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about His Dark Material Season 2. So, Season 2 picks off right where Season 1 ended. It's based off the second novel, The Subtle Knife. Now, I like Season 2, I just don't love it as much as Season 1. One of the reasons why I don't love Season 2, but I like it, is because it deals less of that of Lauer's world with the talking animals, and it deals more in our world, the real world and everything. And it just tends to be very slow and kind of boring. And then when they're not in our world, they're in the in-between world with that world, I can't even pronounce the name, starts with a C. And so because of that, it just looks too familiar. Like our world, of course, looks like our world in the 21st century. That in between world, it's kind of like a beach resort type thing, like near the coastline. It looks kind of Mediterranean, a little Italian, a little Spanish here and there, like Colombian and stuff, or Mexican. It just looks like our world again. And so it just kind of boring, you know what I'm saying? Because I like the world Laura's from. Um, is it Laura or Lara? It's so hard to pronounce that name. But anyway, I like the world she's from. It looks like old school, like 1920s kind of, a little bit before that, a little late 1800s. Their technology isn't as advanced. It's old school tech. There are talking animals and everything. There was so much mystery and intrigue and all this other stuff. And some really interesting characters in season one. And in season two, it's not like that. It just seemed like season two, I don't know. And also, season two is just very, very, very drawn out. And it just feels a little boring. So boring, in fact, that the characters, they look like they're tired. They look like they're bored. Their acting looks like they're bored and everything. Because when you go from a world of fantasy and intrigue and then you just go into the boring real world, it's boring. But season two is very intriguing. We learn a whole lot more stuff out. There's more mystery in terms of dust and what specters are and angels and all this other stuff. And like there's a new character, a teacher professor lady, and and then of course we get introduced to Will Perry in the Subtle Knife. But at the end of season one, I assume she's gonna go looking for her father and this and that. Lord Asriel only shows up at the very end of the last episode to give a speech and to ask the angels to fight alongside him. I'm gonna assume season three is gonna be big. It's the big climactic battle and everything. And so, like, also, there's more interesting stuff that's going on with Miss Coulter. Now, once again, they have not explained how she's able to separate from her demon. And in fact, they don't even explain it in the books. Now, she takes a very interesting role here. Pretty much, the show is pretty much the books. They change a little stuff here and there. And so, like, 'cause I think he shows up in the second book, but they introduced him in the first season. I like that. That introduced us to a character that's supposed to be very important, and it doesn't feel like he's just thrown in there with a new season. So, because sometimes that does, I like it's like a foreshadowing and everything. Like we know he's important, but how exactly? That's what the great mystery of season one was, when they introduced Will so early on. And then we see how important he is in season two, but his importance isn't really like feel like it's that important, but it's kind of important. Then we also learn some more stuff out about like dust. Is it good? Is it bad? Why the magisterium doesn't like it and everything. And so, like I said before, Pullman did, even though he's an atheist and everything, this is based off of like a lot of biblical stuff that he made his own, which can be very controversial to some people because, just like with Chronicles of Narnia. It's kind of like the anti-Chronicles of Narnia, if you will. That's how some people think of it and stuff. Because, we get a mention of Eve, we get a mention of the serpent and everything, but their depiction of it in his dark material is very different than that of other Christian stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the serpent is supposed to be the bad person that led Eve to the apple that gave to Adam and this and that. And this retelling, it has a different philosophy to it, and that's gonna anger like a lot of religious people and stuff. But like I said before, these books are very well known to the fact that they made a movie off this, trying to be the next Harry Potter and everything. And then when that didn't work out, then they later made a television show, and the television show is very well received and stuff. And so, with this season not being very magical feeling or very like period piece, like, has that like vibe to it, it is still a good season nevertheless. Like I said before, we also get introduced to the subtle knife, a very powerful weapon that Will must use. The bond between, or the chemistry, I should say, between that of Laura and Will is really cool. They have really good chemistry, both on and off set. It's really cool to see them like bicker and talk and, and look out for one another. And like, it's funny when it comes to like food, because it's like, she tries to like cook him eggs and it just doesn't come out well. And it's funny when they're like hiding in like, a movie theater. She's eating popcorn, and I think it's popcorn, and maybe it is. It's either popcorn or something else. And she just thinks it's like the weirdest taste like ever. It tastes like sand or like wood or something like that, but she can't stop eating it. And like she's having an awful time eating it, but she just can't stop eating it. And it's nice to see more of the witches this season, because they barely showed up in the last season, but we get a whole lot more this time. And, the conflicts they're going through with the magisterium and stuff. And it is cool to go into that different dimension. So it's like 3 this season. I wish they could have went more world hopping, but that would be for like next season and stuff. And the magisterium is just as evil as like always, and so is that head cardinal dude. And it's just like, it's weird when you see them like punish each other, like, with like the fire and stuff like that. And we get to learn a little bit more about demons. The fact that if another person touches another person's demon, it causes them pain and stuff. And when Pan, for whatever reason, he's just drawn to Will and he allows Will to like touch him, Laura finds that very like, odd and stuff. And so I just kind of wish this season had more of a vibe than it did last season, and more of that epic feel. This one's a little bit more slower pace. The stakes are still high, just not as high as last time, with like missing kids and murder and like, stuff like that. It's more adult theme, but not so much adult theme. There's more adults in this, I guess you could say. But it just, last season felt more sinister, you know what I'm saying? It made you go like, oh my God, like what's going on, Also, if you want to watch The Golden Compass, it's on Roku Channel TV right now. So I'm finally going to get to watch it if I get enough time. And so as Laura, she enters the new realm, and she's in some type of like different dimension. Now, the place she is in, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Chitagese. It's like in an abandoned town. It looks Mediterranean a little bit. It looks kind of Italian a little bit. It's completely abandoned. Like all the adults and a lot of the kids, they have now fled to the mountains. There's only a few people that live in the town, but they're just kids. And they're scared to death because there are these like creature type things. I forget exactly what they're called. I think they're like specters or something like that. And they attack adults. Why? Because of dust. They're attracted to the dust that's on the adults. And so, like, because of that, they like just like devour them and leave them kind of like comatose. And so, while Laura is there, she's like exploring. She's alone. She only has Pan with her. And she's just very lonely, very scared, but she's also very brave. And so as she's wandering around, she enters like a home, and the home actually belongs to Will. He's been staying there. And so when he comes there, he startles her, and she uses her dad trick and like, get the jump on, well, not as much the jump, but it's like twist his arm back and stuff. And so, after like he explains who he is, they start to talk. And she's very confused. She doesn't understand why he doesn't have a demon and everything. And he's all like, demon means something completely different in his world. And so they both realize that they're from different worlds. In the world that Will is from, there are no demons and stuff. And so she's extremely confused by this because everybody in her world has one. It's their companion, is their soul. And she tells like, him her story and like, what she has to do, and she has to find out about dust and like this and that. And it's funny how Will got there. Will got there because he followed a cat. The cat is gonna show up again at some point because like there's a girl named Angelica, and she's with her sister Paula, I think her name is. She's like the female version of the Paula from the books. And they were trying to kill the cat. They hate cats in that world. And so he saves the cat. And the cat is going to be very special to Will in season 3. And so they decide to travel to that of Will's world. And Laura is just very shocked and amazed by how different his world looks. And so when she's about to cross the street, he tries to stop her. But she's so impulsive and she gets hit by a car. And then she comes to and she's just like, oh, wow, these things move faster in your world. And stuff. Because you gotta remember, the cars in her world are like early 1900s and stuff. Slow automobiles. So while they're on their little adventure and stuff. And she has to figure out about Dustin. So they start talking, and they both realize they both have the same college in their world. So she goes there, and so she meets a woman named Dr. Mary Malone or something like that, or Malone, Dr. Malone. And so like I read it differently. And so, like, they start to talk, and the lady doesn't really believe Laura and all this and that. And so Laura, is talking about dust and this and that. And the woman, she's intrigued, but she doesn't really believe her. And she's like, all right, ask your little compass thing. Like, what did I do before I became a doctor? And so she did. And I believe she was a nun before, like, she became a doctor. So she gave up her faith and started a world of science. And she shows Laura like this device she uses and how she communicated with some strange entity. Laura believes this could be dust. The lady hooks Laura brain waves up to that of the computer, and they're able to contact this strange entity and everything. Well, Laura has to get back to Will, so she leaves the lady. The lady wants to come back like the next day, right? Well, Lord Carlo, he is hot on Laura's trail and stuff. He is after her. And so she don't remember him from the party because they barely met. So something happens at some point where he arranges it so that somebody tries to kidnap her or the police tries to get at her. He has many contacts. And so when she's trying to escape, he gives her a ride in his car because she doesn't know who he is. Well, at some point when she gets out the car, she realizes she lost the alethiometer, or however you call it, in his car. And so she realized that he stole it and she can't get it now. And so she's like, oh crap, like I'm screwed and this and that. So anyway, when she goes back to Will and everything, because the thing is supposed to help Will find his father. That's kind of like the little arrangement they have. So her and Will, they get along pretty well, but they bicker because, they're young and stuff like that. And even though they get on each other's nerves from time to time, they have a like unique bond and a level of respect for each other. And so like he has to help her get her thing back. Well, at one point she goes back to like the doctor lady, but Carlo sent some people. Well, did I already say that? I think I did. So let's get back to Chitta Geese. I already said. So like they're there and they realize, there is a young adult there, like a boy, not a young adult, maybe he's a teenager. I think he's a teenager. And so he's the brother of Angelica. And she talks about how, he has this weapon and like, the weapon is supposed to like protect him from like the specters and stuff, right? Well, at some point, Laura and Will, they meet up again with Lord Carlo. And he's all like, I'll give you your lethalometer. Ah, God, I can't say that thing back. If you can get me this knife that's in that other world, because he can't go there because he's an adult and those specter things will get him. And so they go to the tower. And they go there and there's an older man there and there's also that boy. And so the boy has the knife, but they have to get it from him. And so it's a fight between him and Will and stuff. And Will has two of his fingers chopped off, but he's able to get the knife from the boy. The boy flees and everything. And so the old man, what is his name? The old man. I am not sure right now. The old man tells him that, like, it's that dude's name. I can't remember. But, him and Will have the same cut on, like, their hand. It's the mark of the sword. Not sword, but the knife bearer and stuff. Now, the knife is a very special tool. It has the ability to cut through anything on one side. And one side, the blade resembles that of that blade that cuts a person from their demon. And the other side can like cut through dimensions and stuff. And so he teaches Will how to wield that other knife and how to like cut it through a dimension, and then you have to like seal it up. See, the reason why people from Will's world and Laura's world are able to travel to all these different dimensions is because past like knife bearers were sloppy. They never closed up the portal. And so it takes practice. It's not easy, you know what I'm saying? So like they realize, they can't give this knife to what's his face. They're gonna have to because it's too powerful, because Will is not supposed to let nobody have it but himself. And so like they realize they're going to have to steal it, but they have to figure out how they're gonna get in Carlo's home. And so whatever position you're in, it is the same position in like another world. So they have to count their steps to that of Carlo's home. Well, there's a problem. See, that boy, the specters got him, and Angela and her sister are not too thrilled, to the point where they try to kill Laura and everything. And so, and Will, but they're able to like, get away from them and stuff. So in a way, they open up a portal, they sneak into the home of Carlo. But, there's a problem. Marissa is there. And so like, it's a huge fight between that of Laura, her mom, and that of like Will and Carlo. But they're able to get what they need because Laura, boy, she levels up. She is fully embracing her demon and she's sick pan on that monkey. Laura ain't playing around this time, and because she's getting older herself and stuff, so more of your animal instincts are starting to come out. And so, like after winning that battle and everything, they head back to the other world. It is there they start to travel, and then they are greeted at some point in time by that of the witches and stuff. And the witches, they try to help Will with his cut, but it's no ordinary cut. And so, they tell Laura and Will, they're like, you're very important, this and that, and they have to protect them. And so let's get into a couple of other characters. So Will, he is just kind of like, a very pissed off teenager. He wants his father. Things aren't going well with his mom. He had to leave and abandon his mom. There are people after him. He sees a bunch of people talking to animals, and he's just kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And so the main thing he wants is that to find his father. And so at some point he does find his father, and they talk and they bond, but they have a little bit of a rift because he wants to know why his father left him and stuff. And at some point, one of the magisterium people shoots and kills his father. So as soon as he finds his father, um, he is taken away from him. You really gotta feel for Will. It's kind of like he's this ordinary kid who had to go through a lot, gets picked on like at school, because of his family situation, and is thrust into this crazy world of talking animals and magic and stuff. And now all of a sudden, as soon as he finds the one person he's been searching for forever, that person is now taken from him. And not only that, but Laura is now gone. Carlo, I already said he's after Laura and everything. Once he kidnaps her at one point, well, no, he doesn't really kidnap her. What it is, he knows she's gonna be at his house once her and Will give him the knife. So he goes back to the other world and he tells that Marissa. Marissa is not too pleased that he's known where her daughter was this entire time, and he never said nothing. He takes her back to the real, our world, I should say. And she's just kind of like, a little intrigued, but she's also a little irritated, especially with all the stuff Carlo has been collecting. He's a collector of sorts. And so he has this attraction to her, and she kind of taunts him a little bit by messing with his stuff. And so she gets kind of irritated when she finds out Lara has been talking to that Mary lady. And also that the married lady is a doctor. Because, in Laura's world, a woman is, not really considered of high approval and stuff. And they have to fight really hard to get what they want. So she's just very annoyed and everything. And she just wants to protect her daughter. That's all she wants and everything. So after she fights with Laura and gets her butt kicked and everything, she is really, really pissed. And then so her and Carlo, at one point they go into Chittagese, or whatever you call it, Chittagese or something like that. And so the strangest thing happens. The specters, they try to get at Marissa, but somehow she's able to prevent them from attacking her. And they kind of bend to her own will and everything. Somehow she is controlling them. How? It's never explained. It's not even explained in the books. It's kind of the same way it is with her monkey. I think because she has such self-control, that's why her monkey kind of is the way he is, and how she's able to separate from him and stuff. And because she leaves him literally in Carlo's place when she went to go talk to that Mary lady. And when she went to go talk to Mary lady, boy, she was not all that thrilled and stuff. And as she was interrogating her. So Marissa has this strange ability that's never explained in the books. And so she realizes she don't need Carlo no more. And she lets I think she lets the specters kill him. Or either she has the monkey kill his demon. I'm not really sure. I think he's killed by the specters and stuff. And so now she's off to go try to find that of Laura and stuff. And so I'm trying. It's been a long time since I watched this. I was gonna review it soon after I watched it, but then I think Halloween came up, and so I got really busy. I could go rewatch the season, but I really don't feel like it. Plus, I'm watching now the third season. That is out now. And so there are 2 episodes out for the third season. So I forget what happens to Laura at this point. But, after being with the witches and they're attacked by, like, I think the demons, because the demons are after the witches and stuff, because they're adults. And so, at some point, Marissa kidnaps that of Laura, especially when she finds out Laura's nickname in the prophecy is Eve, as in Adam and Eve and stuff. And she ain't too thrilled about that either. So she kidnaps Laura and puts her in the box and she's headed back home. And so, let's see who I'm going to get into next. Mary has decided she is going to travel to that of the other world. When she goes to Chittagese and everything, she meets Angela and them. And Angela and them is all like, oh yeah, Laura, we know her. We tried to kill her and everything. And, Mary's all like, you're not supposed to do that. That's like terrible and stuff. And it's really interesting what happens is that Angela and them's all like, will you be our mom? Will you just give us a hug and everything? Because they haven't been around their parents. Because their parents died. And the rest of the adults have left to the mountains and stuff. And, those 2 sisters, they're just lonely. They want adult supervision. They're tired of like these little ghost specter thingies that be trying to kill the adults and teenagers and stuff. And, Mary's nice enough to give them a hug, hang out with them, take them to where they need to go. But she tells them, she is on a mission and everything. So Seraphine, the witch, she tells Lee, the aeronaut, that, he must protect Laura from that the last season. And, so, he decided he's going to protect her with his life because he loves her. I don't get that part. But anyways, so he's in search for her and he finds a man. This animal took him to see this man. That man is John Perry. John Perry has like a falcon or something for a demon. And John Perry is Will's father. So how exactly does he have a demon? Well, once you cross over into Laura's own world, you're automatically given a demon. And so he's this odd man who talks weird. He's kind of like a philosopher. And he has this strange magical ability where he tries to do something with the weather and stuff like that. He's a very odd individual who's very philosophical and stuff. And he has a man bun. And so, him and Lee, they try their best to, find Laura and stuff. But there's a problem. The Magisterium is highly pissed once they find out Laura is Eve. So, they start, attacking left and right. And Lee and John are, pinned down. Lee sacrifices himself. He fights to the bitter end and he dies. And it's really sad when Lee dies. He's such a nice character, He's charismatic, he's charming, but he was there was just too many soldiers for him and stuff. And so I already told you John found Will and then John died. The Magisterium and the witches are at war with one another. They're constantly attacking each other. The witches are attacking, their aeroships, and then they are attacking the land in which the witches live in. And so at some point, Marissa finds a witch and she tortures her and kills her and stuff. And, the witches are trying their best to help Laura so she can help Lord Asriel and stuff. Because, they know a war is coming. And it's going to be a huge epic battle in that of season 3. But the witches, they're willing to help as best as they can. They are strong fighters and stuff. And then at the very end of, the show, towards the season, we get Lord Azrael. He is talking to somebody above, like he gives a very enduring speech. And, he's telling them that the war is coming and he plans on to win it. See, this whole time he's been bopping from dimension to dimension, gathering followers and getting technology and better weaponry to take on the Magisterium and the threat at hand and everything. And he asked these beings, for help. What are these beings? Angels and everything. The authority from back in the day who fell from the skies and all this other stuff. And, I just can't wait to finish watching season 3. But then the craziest thing happened. At the very, 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 very end, we see Roger in a ghost-like state calling out for Laura. Somehow he is still alive. How exactly? Well, you gotta wait to season 3 to find out. So I really did enjoy this season, just not as much as season 1. There was less talking animals, there were no bears, there was less magic, and it mostly dealt in our world. And we know what our world looks like, so why we want to stay there? I want to be in the world of magic and see what's going on there, And so hopefully in season 3, we will go back to Laura's world. And not only that, but oh my god, dude, the trailer for season 3, that battle looks cool and everything. I just hope they spent their money wisely on the CGI, because I've seen part of season 3 in the first episode. A little bit of the CGI is a little off, but hopefully it's because they're saving up. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.